Hey guys, it is Mike with Become the Night. Welcome back to another reaction video. As a number of you have yelled at me about, this is freaking Pink Floyd and FBE and all the good shit. Let me adjust this really quick. This is bugging the piss out of me. So I was considering whether or not to do this video, and one of the reasons why I didn't really want to so much, besides the fact that it's another fucking Fine Brothers video, one of the reasons I really didn't want to too much is because I didn't know if I had enough to say about Pink Floyd. But then I went back and actually watched this video before making my decision, and I think there's plenty for me to talk about here, and a lot that I think we all as a community, especially people who like music beyond just the normal shit you consume on the radio or what they try to push to you on YouTube trending, I think we could all appreciate it. Better yet, this is the elders reacting to it back in the day when music could be loved for music. So I think that'll be a good point of view to take this from. Let's get started.
Today we're going to have you listen to a selection of songs from a band that's been highly requested in the comments for a while, and we know Pink Floyd.
The amount of shit they expose those poor old people to, I'm kind of happy that she's excited for this one. She's even one of the more open-minded about it too, as far as the metal shit goes. Metal to her is just another flavor of rock and roll. And I guess that's not altogether incorrect either.
So progressive musically.
Take me back.
Yes, they were.
Not a big fan of Pink Floyd.
And I would ask, why rock? Now, I'll be the first to confess, I'm not a huge fan of Pink Floyd. I have tons of respect for what they do, and I enjoy listening to their music, but they've never been one to really grip me and pull me in with their stuff. Now, there's a decent amount of the Pink Floyd fan base from back in the day, and even some today, that are just all about the drug culture, and it's just about getting lost in the moment, man. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's easy to get lost in the music when you're fucked up 20 Ways from Friday. If you can dig on their music just as much when you're sober, then we can have a conversation. But yeah, for me, it wasn't so much the fact that, I mean, some of their fans can be annoying as hell because they're just druggies and don't know what the hell they're talking about. But really, at the end of the day, it was just the fact that I guess I was into stuff that was more fast-paced, a little bit more expressive. Not to say that they're not expressive, but in my opinion, more expressive. I guess a better way of putting that is something that was more high energy. They were just way the hell too mellow for me, man. And that's not a diss whatsoever. That's all personal taste. For guys who were crazy mellow, they had an insane amount of detail and intricacy. So, I mean, as far as that goes, that's cool as hell.
Those tunes stay in your mind, like, we don't need no.
Yeah, they do. All right, first off, super happy that that's the little panel they've decided to use for detailing the songs in the video as a classic amplifier. It's like, all right, thank you, Fine Bros. I appreciate that.
Very weird time signature on this one. That was very innovative for them. I know it sounds weird, but what?
And it still is. That very weird time signature is what we refer to as 7/8. And she's digging it. She's getting into it. You wanna know why? Because she's just having fun with it, man. She's not sitting down and like trying to rip it apart and analyze it. She just was like, okay, this is what's put in front of me. Let's try and understand it. And it's a good time. Crazy, I know, crazy. And as we're gonna find with most of the songs that the Fine Brothers are gonna show them here, I'm familiar with all of them and some of the other ones that are not on this list. And I like them all. I like listening to them when they come on. I get into it, I jam out, but it's just never, it's never a go-to. You know, I've never like, you know what I'm in the mood for? Pink Floyd.
The guitar in the back, it just makes you want to move.
Yeah, it definitely does.
I didn't listen to him, but that's a good song. They've got a nice touch with it, but it's not as wacko as what's going on now.
As with everything else, man, context is everything. Dude, the beginning of Time always made me crazy anxious. I think we actually did this on. Did we do this on Song Suggestion Friday? I believe we did. Dude, it always made me crazy anxious, especially like if you're on anything other than sobriety. Yeah, you'll immediately get that, which is faster than what a normal heartbeat should be. I'm sure they did that on purpose. But yeah, I mean that. Well done on Pink Floyd's part, because I know that's what they were going for, is something that was supposed to be unsettling. And if you think about the concept of time and everything, and really, is it actually a thing, or is it just a thing humans made up to express change? I mean, it's completely unsettling.
I love their energy.
And see, this is where I would typically fall off, is at these parts. these parts right here is probably where I'd come back, where they get really harmonious and kind of gentle and soothing. But when they do their typical like rock stuff, it reminds me somewhat of some of the Grateful Dead, and I don't know, that sound just really doesn't quite, it feels dated to me. It feels dated to me. Again, I'm not trying to talk shit on Pink Floyd. I know there's gonna be tons of you guys down there and be like, Mike doesn't like Pink Floyd. How can he be a prog head? He obviously doesn't know shit about music. And as with a lot of things, it could be the fact that I got introduced to them fully after I'd already been several generations down the line of rock and roll of people who influenced them. I think that makes a huge difference.
We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year.
Again, for a guy who typically doesn't pay that much attention to lyrics, the music doesn't quite do it for me, although I know that the lyrics and the way that he's singing stuff is supposed to impart plenty of visuals into your brain, and it actually paints an excellent picture. But yeah, still not feeling it. And also kind of surprised that this is one of the ones that performed as well as it did. Of course, in comparison to a lot of their other catalog, this is definitely a lot more digestible.
It's like a lot of good messages in these old lyrics.
Yup. And that's the thing about prog. Well, I guess, there's an argument whether or not Pink Floyd is actually prog rock or not. Some people have called them proto-prog or whatever, like the prog before prog. They basically are. They're prog rock for all intents and purposes. Prog typically has not only a better message, but a better constructed message and idea than what you're gonna get in this bite-sized McDonald's shit we call popular music nowadays. Hey, Future Mike here. If you don't know what prog means, you should go to the YouTube search bar after this video and type in what is progressive metal. It will explain to you everything you need to know. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Wish You Were Here, but I would put that up against anything released on the radio in the last 20 years, and this will be more, just be more, period. I never liked this song, man. I don't know why. I mean, I don't hate it, but
Love it.
I like the music.
I really don't get it.
I mean, Roger Waters just has the most distinctive voice.
I guess you can pick Roger Waters out of a crowd of vocalists. For me, I was never crazy about his vocals. They were good. They did the job. The harmonies are really where Pink Floyd pulled me in, But it's like, if I'm listening to a song by Pink Floyd, the first thing that clues me into the fact that it's Pink Floyd is not going to be Roger Waters' voice. It'll typically be the production, because Pink Floyd has a quite distinct production. It's always very warm, but typically still has a little bit of a hard edge to it. That bass guitar absolutely is signature of theirs, which, if I'm correct, that is Roger Waters. I'm not sure. I also know he did some guitar stuff for them, so I'm not 100% sure. And then it'll be the way that the keys come in and blend with the rest of the arrangement. The keys definitely are a key point, if you will, to the Pink Floyd sound.
I like it. It's slow enough to where you can hear the lyrics.
Yes. Wait, what? Why am I cheering him on for that? Now, there is a part of me that is kind of in line with rock there, because a lot of the reasons why I don't pay attention to lyrics nowadays is because you can't fucking understand them.
And their lyrics were really good. They were real smart lyrics.
Yes, they were.
It's human. It just goes right to your heart.
Yes, it does. And if I may, that is the heart of real prog. I should say more specifically real music. You can make shit that's really complicated, really avant-garde, and at the end of the day, if it doesn't touch you to where you felt like you were communicated to by another human, what the fuck's the point, man? That's why it's like you have these really complicated technical bands like Behold the Arctopus. Fucking God, that name. I will any day of the fucking week take Steve Wilson, who actually has quite a bit of technical proficiency on his instrument, but writes his songs around being fucking awesome songs. Whereas Behold the Arctopus is fucking math game. Just throw shit at a wall. I can throw shit at a wall faster than you can throw shit at a wall. That's not prog. That's a math game. This is the first video I had to get more whiskey. It's enough of you fuckers trying to say, oh, drink your whiskey, drink your whiskey. This song was super
Now
fucking
I'm
cool.
getting old.
See this song reach out to you when you're listening to it.
jealouser. When I get to be that age and then they come back and like, they do Elders like in 2080 something. Elders react to Dream Theater, to Porcupine Tree, to Opeth. I'll be sitting there. I'll be the one crying like a little girl.
You can really feel the desperation, can't you?
Yeah, you really can. That's one thing where, you know, is Roger Waters a technically amazing singer? No, but he got his emotion so much into his vocal performance, and I think that counts a hell of a lot more than being an opera singer.
It was really clever music making. It was minimalist.
For prog, it was minimalist, but for regular rock and roll, it was quite the opposite. And the fact that he saw that in it means this is really well-made music. I would 100% disagree that Pink Floyd was minimalist, and I'm the one that says I don't think they're doing enough in it. But no, there's definitely lots of intricacy, lots of nuance in everything that they do. It's quite, in my opinion, quite the opposite of minimalist. Really cool that was his choice of words, though.
Anybody out there?
This one. For the longest time, I really didn't give a shit about this song. And it was typically because the first couple of bars, I'd be like, whatever, I'll just switch it. Until the time I was like, I think it was 16 or 17, I got Rolling Stone's list of 100 greatest guitar solos at the time. Which, I mean, obviously me, I'm like, this is totally bullshit list. But Comfortably Numb was on there. I think that was ranked number 4. And I was like, okay, let's see what Pink Floyd can do. And then I finally listened to the song the whole way through, got to the guitar solo, and I was like, holy freaking hell. It's not blazing crazy fast. It's just perfect for what it needed to be. And for years to come, and still to this day when I have time, that guitar solo is what I use to practice my improvisation. Now, I play a shit ton more notes than what David Gilmour does, but having said that, I try to use his, in my opinion, minimalist guitar playing to reach out to that and try and play fewer notes and say more with less notes. That's one of the reasons I try to use it, and that's one of the reasons why I would agree this is one of the greatest guitar solos that's ever been played.
Such a great sound.
It really is a great sound, and that's one of the things, like, this song in particular, the production, so fucking good. So fucking good. Steely Dan would be jealous.
Now that's a phrase that has held up beautifully. It so pertains.
And that's particularly why most pop is never going to be considered a classic, and why things like Pink Floyd have lived on and will continue to live on, because they speak deeper than the momentary whim and momentary urge, momentary want of a human being. As a matter of fact, the comfortable numbness comes from keeping, trying to constantly cater to those momentary whims. I mean, eventually you do become numb to them. I know the song's about more than that, but it's one way you could become comfortably numb.
Now,
of course.
I know this.
Everyone knows this song.
We thought this was very rebellious.
It still is very rebellious, ma'am.
Their vocals and especially their lyrics has kept them relevant to even now.
Yep, they have. This guy essentially repeating what I said before. And I don't know if it's because it's just already been done before or you just don't buy it, but they do have other bands and other artists trying to get out the same message, but it does not have nearly the same impact as what Pink Floyd and other artists do. I think there's a reason for that. And I think one of the biggest reasons why is because they understood it better than most people nowadays do. And because they understood it better, they knew how to better communicate it to other people.
Really good music does touch us in our most basic human ways. And not all modern music does that. These guys...
And most of it doesn't, actually.
Well, I think they had variety. You know, they didn't do all the same thing, and all the songs didn't sound the same.
Okay. Now, within the context of Pink Floyd, yes, they did have some variety, I will say that. Although, man, every time it comes on, it does kind of sound like the same song to me for the most part. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm not as attuned to them as many others, is because everything is so mellow to me. In my mind, I'm just hearing, okay, it's another mellow 70s rock song. It's like, yay, turn the page. But the people that are really deep into classic rock, especially the guys like Pink Floyd, I can absolutely see why you'd say, okay, there is tons of variety here. And especially if you look at their production album-wise, yes, there was tons of variety in the production as far as what sounds and timbres and different noises and soundscapes they wanted to play with.
I remember a friend of mine went to one of their concerts and came back and was describing it, and it sounded like mind-boggling.
And this is probably the most disappointing thing about this video to me, is that they didn't show them any of Pink Floyd's live stuff. Now, they didn't have to do a live concert. I mean, that would have been cool to show them an actual live, like, video of a live concert. But I mean, specifically how they do these songs live. The way that they do The Wall live, the way that they do Comfortably Numb live, oh my goodness. You really get to see them at their top because they're completely absorbed in the moment and trying to communicate with you right then, right there. And you can tell it's coming from a very real place as opposed to, okay, we rehearsed, we learned this piece.
The lyrics were different. The music was psychedelic, but you didn't have to take drugs to experience that, to feel that way and feel included. You weren't excluded.
100% correct. Don't get me wrong, I really don't have anything against drugs. I think drugs are like, use at your own risk. Hell, sometimes they can even be fun. But at the end of the day, just like, don't make the life about drugs. And if you can use other things to make you feel the way that drugs do, use the other things. They're guaranteed going to be more healthy for you.
And finally, for some of the younger people who are watching right now and might not know much about Pink Floyd, do you think that they should go out and listen to more of their music?
I think so. It would be refreshing compared to what you're listening to.
If Vera likes it, and she's a tough critic, if Vera likes it, then yes, the kids definitely should go out and listen to more Pink Floyd. And I 100% agree. I think they should too. Even for a guy who's not totally into it the way that a lot of other people are, it's a fucking far cry better than a lot of the shit happening now.
I think they should listen to it to have an idea of what music was back in, let's say, back in the 70s.
What they had to say.
Their music has a character that's not found as much in today's very pop rock and roll.
Yep. Good on you, Rock. And that's the interesting thing, too. I had a friend, I think I've talked about this already, a friend who's in his 60s who, when he was about 60, me and his son finally got him into Metallica. It was the Metallica S&M concert that kind of bridged that gap. And then from there on, he started listening to more and more metal. Rock is kind of going through a similar thing here. And it's one of those things where sometimes it's just a right place, right time, right song for that switch to finally come on. You're just like, I get it now. And that moment may happen for me with Pink Floyd, where it goes from just like mad respect to holy crap, I'm now in love with this music. It could happen. Who knows? Anyway, so final thoughts. I love getting the elders' reactions to this. I think if they did the other generations, they wouldn't have gotten the right point across. I think having them react to it, seeing the change of music over time and seeing how it's gotten away from something that actually was an art form to now something that's just a product, I think that was very valuable. Now, if they want to do one later with teens or college kids or adults or whatever, I mean, yeah, by all means, go for it, But I think getting this one in particular was the most important. And as a very quick side note, my mentor, who is also my producer for a little bit, I helped him making his record, just like doing side things, playing some guitar thingies, doing a little bit of part writing. One of the things that actually was in the end product of the album was my guitar part for his song called Manny Goes Home, or Manny's Gone Home. Link to that song in the description. It's really weird because at that point, I didn't even know that Roger Waters was in Pink Floyd until he said, hey, I want you to do this guitar part, but I really want it to sound like Roger Waters. I said, who the hell is Roger Waters? He almost kicked me out of the fucking studio. So after literally hours, we probably spent at least half the day just focusing on that one guitar part and getting it perfect the way he wanted it to be. Literally, him and his other friend, who is also crazy knowledgeable about music, coaching me to try and get me to play this a certain way and trying to write the part to make it better. So between the three of us, we finally came up with this one part, which he was super happy with. Me at the time, I was just like, okay, this is cool, you know? And then my friend who I was telling you about, who's in his 60s, eventually he bought a copy of the CD. He listened to it, and the first thing he said to me, dude, you sound just like Roger Waters. It's totally badass. I was like, funny thing you say that. So basically the moral of that story is, even though I really don't totally get Pink Floyd, I, with the direction of others and with my own talents of being able to try and reproduce what they were telling me, was able to somehow replicate that. And it kind of blows my mind, because now that I've actually starting to understand Pink Floyd a lot better, I go back to it, I'm like, wow, that does sound a shit ton like Pink Floyd. And I didn't know Roger Waters was a fucking person until we started working on that record. So please go to the link in the description. First of all, it's a great album. It's one of the best songs on the album. It's definitely very heavily Pink Floyd influenced, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. And when that guitar part comes up around the middle of the song, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. That's it for the reaction. If you want to keep track of when my videos go up, you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook. And if you think this video is totally shitty and you think I should do a better job, please go to my Patreon page. The link is in the description, and pledge some money monthly and help me make better videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Rock on!